Wait a minute, what is this doing here? Based on the title, this is alternate history, and as such, should be on Emperor Tigerstar Alt, not here. Relax, this video isn't quite alternate history. This video is about the ambitions of the Central Powers and what Europe would look like if they had their way. And this isn't based off of speculation, but rather on real evidence such as plans Germany discussed during the war or treaties signed during the war, and historical ambitions of each major country. This video won't talk about how the Central Powers win the war or when or anything like that. In addition, it's talking about Europe only, as most of the plans made by the Central Powers were about Europe and the Middle East and very rarely outside that area. And so it's much harder to determine what it would be like in Africa or Asia or otherwise. So it's only going to focus on Europe. And this is talking about land only, so it's going to show basically what the map of Europe would look like if the Central Powers won, not like reparations or economic deals, just land. So let's see what the Central Powers wanted. Here's a map of Europe right before World War I started. The Central Powers are given their own colors, Germany in a dark gray, Austria-Hungary in a brown, Bulgaria is orange, and the Ottoman Empire is in a green. Overall, Germany had the most ambitions, and it wanted to make sure that their ambitions came first, even at the expense of their own allies at times. So we're saving Germany for last. We'll start with the smallest central power, Bulgaria. Bulgaria simply wanted to dominate the Balkans. Well, so did Austria, but Austria was more concerned with making sure they didn't make any trouble. Bulgaria wanted to acquire lands surrounding them that they claim as historical Bulgarian lands. During the war, after the fall of Serbia, Bulgaria annexed the eastern two-thirds of Serbia in 1915, and the Treaty of Bucharest, signed in 1918, resulted in Bulgaria annexing parts of Dobruja. Bulgaria would also likely annex lands from Greece that they lost during the Second Balkan War. Next will be the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans had been on the decline for some time, most of it was due to their rivalries with the European powers, especially Russia. They planned to annex part of the Russian Caucasus and a tiny portion of Persia. Egypt, Sudan, and Cyprus were all technically Ottoman lands, occupied by the British, and they would be given back to the Ottomans, although they would likely remain as client states or protectorates as the Ottomans couldn't enforce their control over both regions. Kuwait would likely be annexed by the Ottomans. The Dodecanese Islands were Ottoman territory taken by Italy in 1912, and the Ottomans would want them back to assume more control over the Aegean Sea. The rest of the Caucasus would become a bunch of Ottoman client states. Georgia, however, was also desired to be a dependent state to Germany, but the Ottomans would likely win over in this case. For Austria-Hungary, their main focus was acquiring some lands to weaken the Balkan powers and for prestige, but they were so full of hostile ethnic groups that they wouldn't want to go all out without falling apart. During the war, the Treaty of Bucharest from 1918 gave Austria-Hungary minor borderlands from Romania. Albania, Montenegro, and what was left of Serbia would become Austro-Hungarian puppet states. There is another ambition from Austria-Hungary, sort of, but we'll get to that later. Germany had the most ambitions and the most detailed ambitions. During the war, they discussed what lands they would want to annex or occupy or whatever. In some cases, they got more ambitious as the war got deadlier. More pain, more gain, right? For Western Europe, Germany had plans to annex Luxembourg and parts of Belgium and France. Belgium was to become a German puppet state, and they would give Belgium part of the French coast so that way Germany could have access to the English Channel. There was also a desire to make the entire island of Ireland an independent nation, just to spite the Brits. The East would have changed much more dramatically. Germany wished to annex huge chunks of the Baltic and Polish territories in Russia. Towards the war's end, a lot of this area was made into puppet states, but Germany had long-term goals to annex the area regardless. Next, a Polish puppet state would be created. During the Russian Civil War, many countries suddenly gained independence from Russia, and thanks to the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, along with German plans, we know which areas would have become German puppet states. Finally, there's that other change I put off until now. The reason I did was because it was planned, but it didn't happen because one side didn't pull off their end of the deal. The deal was that the newly independent Ukraine would send desperately needed food, mostly grain, to the Austro-Hungarians, and in exchange would gain parts of Galicia. The Ukrainians were unable to do this, so the deal was off. But it's possible that the Central Powers winning could result in the deal being fulfilled somehow, but there's no guarantee. So basically, this is what Europe would have looked like if the Central Powers won. Basically, all of them had imperialist ambitions, and Europe would have dramatically changed. Thank you for watching.